Hey everybody, Rob here from Malcolm X College's Project Impact team. I'm here today with Aaron from Career Services. Aaron, say hello.
Hello.
Aaron and I are here to have a conversation about job shadowing. Job shadowing is one of those good engagement tools that you can use to both see if you like a field, but then also getting some of those details down that are going to help you as you're starting to apply to work and how you can bring it up even in things like a job interview so that the employer understands that you know what the work is going to look like so that they're not concerned that you might be mismatched with what the work will be to what your expectations are. So job shadowing is just a great short engagement that helps to both alleviate your concerns, but then also some potential concerns that employers might have. So we're going to roll into some questions here. So, Aaron,
Yes,
what
sir.
is the difference between job shadowing and an internship or clinical experience?
I mean, really straight to the point is a job shadowing experience is very limited. It's usually a 1 day or one shift, or maybe be over a course of 2 days that you would attend, depending on, what you're shadowing. So I know like some people in our PTA program, part of the physical therapy is requiring a job shadow. So sometimes they'll go back 2 or 3 times just to shadow different roles within an organization, right? So one day they may be following the physical therapist. One day they may be following the physical therapy assistant. Another day they may be doing something in occupational therapy and just seeing different things in different roles. Internships and clinical experiences. Clinicals are semester long typically, or longer, and internships are also an agreed upon time frame for how long they will last a student, and the relationship with the employer. So it's really a time issue between these two. And also clinicals don't get paid, job shadowings don't get paid, internships sometimes do get paid. So that would be one of the other real differences between these different entities, is that when you job shadow, you definitely will not get paid for that.
Thank you. Next
Mhm.
question. How can I find a job shadowing opportunity?
Well, job shadowing is it's really, starting off with networking, right? So if I'm looking to shadow someone in a professional field, I get to meet people and know people. So initially, one of the best places to do this is through your instructors and the computer science instructors that we've had at Malcolm X College or city colleges in general, any of those. You also want to develop a very robust LinkedIn page. This is a great way to connect with professional organizations and get connected to different people. Professional organizations is another one. So I want to reach out to the different organizations American Association of Radiologists, all those different organizations that we have that supervise programs and provide accreditation to different things. These are places that I want to engage with because they have some job shadowing opportunities there as well. And then lastly, what I would really, really encourage for, especially if you're in the IT industry, is take a look at meetup groups and meetup groups in Chicago. There's such a robust list of different meetups within the city that are talking anything from cybersecurity to database to specific things like React and different programmings. So if you just go meet up Chicago tech groups, you could see a whole bunch of them, and they're doing virtual things right now where you can engage with people and network with folks. And then it's about just setting that real gentle ask, saying, and I know COVID times may not be the most ideal time to do this. We understand that, right? But if somebody says, hey, we could do this, we could work together, and I could have you come to my office and job shadow, and you're willing to do that, that is something that, again, it's through the networking piece that's how you find these opportunities. If you have family, friends, other people that you know professionally through your own networking, through church, places like this that that's doing a work in this industry, you want to get connected to them through those organizations so that way you can ask them a question. Can we work together? Is there a possibility for me to do this? I have a whole bunch of questions, and I really want to learn more about this industry and this field, and would love to have an opportunity to come see your day-to-day bump and grind work that you do in this area. So those would be the main ways that you can find a job shadowing opportunity. And in addition, talk with people in the Career Center to help you with the networking, talk with Rob to do this stuff. That's what we're here for, to assist with as well.
Yeah, and especially now when there's a lot of remote work going on and maybe people are going into the office 1 day a week or whatever it might be, a job shadowing opportunity is a less intensive ask for that employer and that employee that you would actually be shadowing after. So now when you're asking to experience what the work looks like for a day, as opposed to asking for a 6 month long internship, it might be easier for you to get. So if you are having a hard time identifying an internship, maybe then let's start looking for a job shadowing opportunity instead.
Yeah. And again, that's a great way to network as well, because when you're shadowing with people, then you're going to connect with them through LinkedIn. So you're going to start building up a bigger, more robust database of your own connections and networking so that you can find more opportunities too down the line. So
great. Next question. What should I ask about during a job shadowing experience?
What should I ask? Good question. Personally, I would first start off by doing a ton of research, and I want to research everything I can about that organization. I want to know what they do, how they do it, every nuance, every nook and cranny that I can find about them. I'll go to their website. I'll look up everything I can. I will follow them on LinkedIn. I will follow them on Twitter. I will follow them on Instagram or whatever else that they may have a social media presence. And I want to know everything I can. So I'm going to take a couple days just to absorb as much as I can about the different things. Then I'm going to also do my research on the people that I will be working with, right? So if they have a LinkedIn page, I'm going to go to the LinkedIn page and I'm going to read some stuff. I'm going to learn as much as I can. Then as far as what should I ask, and all that information that you absorb through doing your research, you're going to develop some questions, right? And say, hey, I saw online that you guys were involved in this type of cybersecurity. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, right? Or I saw that you did a project with this company. Is there anything you could tell me about how that worked and what your role was in that implementation of that, whatever it is, right? So finding out all those questions. I would also go online and see post-interview questions that a person who's being interviewed may ask an employer. So at this point, you may be able to ask questions about the company culture, right? And what the dress code is like at that organization. You may want to ask things about their professional development fund and if they're providing a tuition reimbursement to the employer, right? Or employee that you're talking to. Or do they send you out on new trainings? What kind of trainings have you been sent out on in the last year, 2 years? I want to know, are these people, is this organization actively developing their staff to make them meaner, stronger, better, faster, right? So those are the types of questions that I would consider asking here. I wouldn't ask about pay and that type of benefit, but I would ask about the benefit of professional development and what kind of trainings that they may send you on. Or if they have some tuition reimbursement, if you're considering going on to the future, because this is not in an HR situation, you haven't been offered a job, but those are some questions that I would be curious about. And then as you're doing your walkthrough, anything that you see that makes you curious and say, tell me more about that procedure. Tell me more about that technique. Tell me more about that interaction that you had with the other coworker. Those are things that you can just on the spur of the moment ask about and just be curious, right? And even if you presume you know the answer, still ask it. Why not, right? And it's a good way just to get the conversation going and have them talk about what they're doing. Because ultimately, what you want, every question that you ask should be providing you more information that makes you understand the career path better and makes you wonder if you're going to want to do this, follow through on this, go into this direction or not. So all information could be great information for you. So don't hesitate and ask as much as you can.
Yeah, and remember that this is a networking opportunity for you as well. And that individual that you're working with, asking them questions about their specific experiences. And a good recommendation that I would make is notice when they get excited about something they're sharing with you. And when they're excited about that, ask them more questions about it. When they're proud of something they've done, ask them more questions about that. And even though you might not think at that point in time that that's relevant to whether or not you might like the job, what you're doing when you're asking those questions is you're digging more into why that person enjoys the career and why they like the job is as important to you in understanding whether or not you like the work as the actual work itself. Because the day-to-day stuff oftentimes is, there's a lot of it. Maybe it's 90% of the work. But the 10% of the work that becomes more individualized, that person is proud of, is an example to you as to what your potential unique impact can be on that organization. And when you're thinking about how you make that value statement to an employer, hearing somebody else talk about what excites them will help you to really identify what their value statement has become.
Yeah. And to add on that too, that I would even ask them about their own career path, where they went to school, what was their credential? What is their training? And how long did it take you to get to the training so that you could work in this role? Those are some things that you can ask and do some research about informational interviews, right? And I would actually look at some of those types of questions, just like I did with post interview questions. And you may find some things in there that could be very helpful to ask as well. So you don't have to create questions on your own. There are a lot of questions out there that we could direct you to, or you could search for on Google and have a laundry list of things that you could pick through and say, that's something that's really interesting to me. That's something I want to ask as well. So there's a lot of information out there to ask about during a job shadowing experience.
Yeah. So you hinted at this. What should I bring and what should I wear to a job shadowing experience? Yeah.
So just like everything, the commercial says you only have one time to make a good first impression, right? So I would always err on the side of dressing up versus dressing down. I would look at the company culture. So if I saw the different things if I saw the pictures of them in the office and that everybody was casuals with like polos like this on, I could feel comfortable showing up with a pair of khakis and a polo, right? But that said, you're never going to go wrong by putting on a dress shirt and a tie if you have something like that, right? To me, I would dress up, like I would if I was going into a job interview, unless there was some expectations that I may have to help out with some things, like if I was in a healthcare facility, obviously very comfortable shoes because you're going to be walking. If you're a lady, I would not be wearing heels to a job shadowing experience, like I may if I was going into an interview situation. So those would be the kind of things, professional. But I think, for the most part, if you do your research on the company, you're going to see what they're all wearing in the office, and then I would mirror that.
So what should I bring?
Great attitude, a curiosity. But, if you have like a folder or a little portfolio that has some place to store some business cards, because as I'm going through, I'm going to ask people for business cards so I could stay connected to them. I would want to have something that I may be able to take notes in, or have a little folder that I had with me, a little portfolio that has a little pad of paper in it with the questions that I wanted to ask them. All those things would be an appropriate thing to bring. My cell phone's on mute for the entire time. And the only time I'm going to look at my phone to check it is when there's a pause or a break and the person says, hey, I'll be right back. I got to run to the washroom or something like that, or I have to go to this meeting. I'll be back in 15 minutes. That's the time to check your phone. You would never want to do that while they are actively, you're actively shadowing them and going through, the step-by-steps and stuff that they're doing. So just be mindful of your phone and pulling it out in the middle of it, because it's going to make it look like you're uninterested and not interested in being there and being there with them. So now, just like in class, if you're dealing with a child care issue or a child that's sick, and that may happen, and you may get a call sometime throughout the job shadow day, I would communicate that to the person that I'm shadowing with right away and say, hey, I just want to bring this up and let you know I'm dealing with this issue. I may get a call sometime throughout the day and I may have to take it. And I apologize for that in advance, kind of thing. So that way, you're not just saying, hey, I got to go, and then you leave and talk on the phone, because that could be unprofessional and give a negative impression, and that's not what we want to do.
Thank you. So this one, you talked about bringing a positive attitude, and for some of us, and I would even consider myself to be I wouldn't want to use the word recovering introvert, because introversion is a positive thing too. Yes. But for sure, I might feel that I started out with introversion tendencies. I'm not as comfortable in environments where everybody else knows each other and I'm brand new coming in. So this question talks a little bit about that. I'm generally a quiet person who isn't used to asking strangers questions. How can I start my shadowing experience in a way that will help to increase my comfort level?
Well, first I would practice my elevator pitch, right? Because we understand that more than likely the first thing that they're going to do is say, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in this field, right? And they're going to get to know us as well. So we kind of have to be prepared to have that statement. So to have, my name is Aaron Wisman. I just graduated from this program at Malcolm X College, or I'm currently in this program at Malcolm X College. I'm looking for opportunities to, learn more about this industry so I could go down a computer or healthcare career path. And right now I'm currently taking the prerequisites to get into said program, right? A little bit of that and have that rehearsed and practiced, because when you're talking about increasing your comfort level, it's about being there and doing it. And the reason why you're not comfortable is you haven't had the experience or that exposure. So as much as we could practice and rehearse now with people we're comfortable with, asking those types of questions and doing that type of process, the more comfortable we can be when we're doing it with others. So if I know, and it's like being an actor on stage when it comes to this, right? If I know what my sales or my elevator pitch is, and I've rehearsed it 100 times, when somebody asks me, tell me a little bit about themselves, I don't have to worry about it. And I'm not uncomfortable because I know what I'm going to say. And that comfort level with the knowledge of the information that I have will help my anxiety or my comfort level when I have to actually say it to somebody, because I already know what I'm going to say and I'm not scrambling trying to figure it out. So again, I think the other good thing is in your notebook that you're going to bring with you is if you write down a whole bunch of the questions that you want to ask, right, of these guys or these girls that you're working with. That way, when I get to that point and they ask me, tell me a little bit about yourself, and you're quiet, you're like, hang on, I have a couple questions. And you open up your folder and you can have some pre-written out thoughts that you have. So that way you can start broaching and getting in there and asking these questions with people. Nobody that's going to accept you to job shadow with them is going to be a unsocial person. I would imagine that the majority of the people that will agree to allow you to shadow are going to be very open people and be very talkative people and wanting to talk about their field and be passionate because they're passionate about what they do. So, they're going to do most of the talking anyway if things go the way they should go, because you're going to be asking questions and they're going to be responding, right? And occasionally they may ask us a question. So again, if I do good research and have a good laundry list of things to ask, I'm gonna not have to worry about my anxiety or my uneasiness when asking those questions. So practice rehearsal and coming there prepared with a list of things that you want to know.
Awesome suggestions. I don't even think I have anything to add because everything there is great. Preparation, prepare. And I would just also, the one thing to consider is just the why you're interested in this field, why you decided to pursue that education. And it just shows that there's something unique about you that said that the reason why I wanted to get into cybersecurity is this, and if it's an article that you read, great example to share, whatever. It doesn't have to be a long statement at all. Oftentimes you'll then see that person you're shadowing will jump off of that, and it'll just be a good starting off point too. So again, Aaron's got it right on the head there. Keep asking them questions. You have only a short period of time. They expect you to be asking questions. They expect you to be watching. So don't necessarily worry about having to be on stage yourself. You're doing a lot of watching, a lot of listening. This next question: what should I do after the job shadowing experience?
This is pretty easy because as you go through your job shadowing experience, I'm going to get business cards from every single person that I interact with on that day. And I'm going to send each one of them an individual thank you note via email by the next day and say, thank you so much for the opportunity to job shadow you. I learned a lot of information, and this would be an opportunity for you to connect with them long-term networking as well. You can also, if a follow-up question came up after you left and you were home that night and be like, dang, I forgot to ask that question. So the next day, as you send your thank you note to them and say, thank you so much for having the opportunity to have me job shadow with you. Had one little additional question that came up last night as I was thinking through and reflecting on this a situation, and here you go. So to me, it's writing a thank you, but it's also doing a little reflection paper that night and writing down the different things that stood out to you, because that information could be helpful for you later on. So I do encourage, writing a little reflection on your experiences, and then definitely following up with every single person that engaged you and answered the question that you may have had, and sending them an individual thank you email.
Yeah, and when you send that thank you email, if there was a particular question that you still had lingering with them, or if you had a really nice experience with them and you said you'd love for an opportunity to learn a little bit more, this is where once things are a little bit quieter, then the idea of going and buying the person a cup of coffee near the work and having an extended conversation with them on a different day, then you're almost moving into the area where you might even be able to ask that person to be a reference for you. So this is the start of a relationship with these individuals, and this thank you note is just you giving back a little bit to them, but also continuing that conversation. Your goal from this is to be able to continue conversations with people.
Yeah. And it also just documents your professionalism, right? Because not a lot of people will do it, and it'll make you above and beyond and show that you have a level of professionalism that some other people don't. So it's always good to send that thank you note. And it never hurts, and it takes 3 seconds of our life. I mean, lots of our parents taught us that when it came to Christmas time. Write your thank you notes to all the people that sent you something, So we all have it in us. We just have to do it.
Yeah. And then this, I believe, is the final question, and it ties in a little bit to that reference concept. But so what is the job shadowing experience good for after the fact? Does it go on a resume? Is it something that I include in a cover letter? How do I bring the experience up during a job interview? Things like that.
Yeah, so this is not resume material, and which is a difference from in the beginning when we talked about the difference between a job shadow and a clinical and an internship. Clinicals and internships can go on resumes, and they need to go on resumes. Your job shadowing experience does not go on a resume. It's not a paid for experience. It's an exploratory type of event. For you to learn more. So it wouldn't be something I would include on my resume. That said, the cover letter and the interview are great opportunities to discuss and bring out this experience that you've had in a different way. So if they're asking for a cover letter and there was something that you were exposed to or experienced while on the job shadow, you can discuss that in one of your paragraphs in the cover letter. And if they ask a question in the interview, in the job interview, and it relates to something that you were exposed to and experienced while at the job shadow, you can most definitely say, hey, when I had an opportunity to job shadow, this was the situation, this was the experience that I had, and this reinforced my desire to go into this career path or whatever the case may be. So to me, it's not a resume, definitely, possibly cover letter and possibly job interview if it relates and connects at that time. But yeah, it wouldn't be something I would put on resumes.
Yeah, it's the word that I like to use is perspective. And I think what you get out of a job shadowing experience is a lot of perspective. Maybe you saw how an effective team works well. Maybe you saw how an individual has upskilled themselves throughout their career to move from the entry-level position to a higher-level role that was instrumental in the work the company did, but also still allowing for somebody from the outside, yourself, when you're doing that job shadowing experience, to come in. And I think that that's the kind of company culture that you can convey in a job interview that's saying, this is what I'm looking for. Do you match that? And those are part of those questions that you can ask during an interview that are also about them and not just about you. And as you're looking for a career rather than just a job, those questions matter. And those questions, oftentimes to an organization that is that way, they appreciate it. And they really appreciate the concept of you continuing to grow as an employee with them and what steps you can take to continue your growth to become a better employee for them, then it becomes a really mutually beneficial relationship. So, Aaron, any other thoughts before we end this discussion on job shadowing?
No, just please don't hesitate. Reach out to Rob with Project Impact or myself in the Career Center. I have some networking, through my LinkedIn, and I could help connect some students to different, areas at times, or help them walk down the path of building up a network so that they have some people to ask. If you're interested in having somebody review like emails that you're going to send to these folks to request, I know Rob and I would be more than happy to review those with you and edit them and give you some ideas on how to make it look really good and professional. So don't hesitate and ask for assistance if you're looking for it.
Really excited to learn about these opportunities that you might be interested in and what you'd like to pursue. Again, I keep saying these words. It's your unique story, it's your individual experience, it's your personal perspective, and job shadowing is just another feather in your cap that you get to add in that makes you that much more unique than everybody else that's applying, but also helps you identify what your specific path, what you'd like to pursue. So lean into us, we're here to help.
Yep. And all the information you're going to absorb is going to do one of two things. It's either going to reinforce that you're in the right place at the right time doing the right stuff, or it's going to give you a indication that, hey, I may need to do something differently because I'm not liking what I'm seeing in this job place. It's not something, the duties I don't like what they're doing. I need to think about maybe another career path at this point. So to me, any information that it provides is great information.
Yeah. Well, thanks for taking the time, Aaron. I look forward to more of these dialogues in the future, and I hope that everybody watching this is staying safe, healthy, and finding some time to decompress every once in a while too. So take care. We'll see everybody soon.
Thanks for being with us.